Welcome to episode 519 of Salsidoparanormal, and tonight I am talking about haunted places in the U.S. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page, and that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord or if you listen on the podcast or YouTube feeds or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of the show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. As always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, as well as Liam Martin, host of the Exile Minds podcast, for producing the shows and putting them up on the station as you hear them there with all the music and everything. And so if you'd like to support the show, there are some different ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your podcast platform of choice. Also, I've written some paranormal fiction and nonfiction books you can check out over on Amazon. And if you'd like to support the page, the podcast, but also get some extra content, you can join the Patreon page, where you'll be able to get one extra episode of the show every month. True paranormal stories from the web at any membership tier level there, and that is just one episode I'll do once a month whenever I can, and it'll just be like the usual ones here. It'll just be Patreon, and there won't be any. It might be a little bit shorter. There won't be any other comments or chat from other people because those are Patreon episodes. So. Also, if you'd like to just make a one-time donation instead, you can do that through PayPal. And the help is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. And so just to help make the show better. And so I'm just trying to think here what else I was missing. I think that's basically all from there. I probably forgot something, but that's all right. That happens. So yeah, tonight I'm continuing my series on haunted places. Oh, there was one other thing. You may hear some sounds in the background at some point. We've finally got a little bit of snow out here in Michigan, in my area of Michigan. So they have the plows coming through and the different areas. So I've been hearing that on and off tonight behind my place. So just to let you all know, if you hear anything, that's probably what it is. And so this next location, this is a series on places that are said to be haunted, to have paranormal activity. And of course, I'm working my way through locations in Alabama. Now, and of course, these articles that I talk about tonight in the show, they will be included in the episode description. And the unique thing about this location I'm going to be talking about tonight is that it is not a building exactly. It's a mobile building. You could say a mobile location, or at least it was. It's a battleship, the USS Alabama, as we're working through the state of Alabama. And the amazing thing about this is not the first time I've heard of a battleship, of a massive boat having reports of paranormal activity. So, as I always like to say, make sure that whenever you hear about these locations, please make sure that you look into whether or not you can visit these locations yourself, all the rules and schedules for any kind of visiting and all those things, because the information I share on the show could always change. and I never support in any way any kind of trespassing or breaking any laws for various reasons, safety included. So, and I'll probably do a whole series on this concept of mobile locations that seem to have activity at some point, because I've heard of so many different boats, vessels that have had reports of paranormal activity in them, and in cases, I'm not going to get deep into the history of the what events happened there and those who passed away unfortunately on there. I'm not going to get too deep into the exact details there, because that can be graphic in some cases, and we're more here to talk about the paranormal activity whenever possible. But if you think about that, a battleship, that's battle, that's fighting. So, and a lot of struggle, and then in some cases death, and even sometimes death in some of these massive boats that are built. There are people that die in the process of making or maintaining these massive mobile bases, almost, you could almost call them. So I have two articles here I'll talk about tonight, and they're both from sort of the different websites that talk about paranormal activity and locations. They both have pictures, so I would definitely recommend checking out the articles once I post the episode and the description. And yeah, in the chat here, PDG says we always hear of the Queen Mary, and that's very true. And that's one of those rare examples, as rare as far as I know, of a boat that started out as a luxury, as a ocean liner, and was converted into a military boat, and then converted back again. And there's so many stories in there. Did a whole show on that, and then also every so often, once in a while, when I'm doing the True Paranormal Stories from the Web episodes, a new account of experiences will show up there, and I'll get to share that. So it definitely does. The Queen Mary does show up in this show here and there, and to me that just says, even if there's, because I have heard that some people suggest that there's some things have been exaggerated over time, just for various reasons, to promote the to get people to go there for tourism and all those things. But you also have people that go there, they're not part of the organization that runs the boat at any given time, that still have experiences. So anyway, getting to the one actually that we're going to talk about tonight, even though I don't mind, because I was going to bring up the fact that this is not the only boat, and I can't think of any offhand right now. But if you look into any of the paranormal investigation shows, they go into some of these different battleships at different times. So whatever, of course, you have to keep in mind the reality shows are, the term reality to me is just really ironic, but still, you get check it. You get to look at these boats here and there, and get an idea of maybe what the activity could be like, and based on those shows. So this first article here is from onlyinyourstate.com. Title reads, "The story of this haunted Alabama ship will send shivers down your spine." Of course, they have to play up the scary aspect of it. So, and again, these articles both have pictures, so definitely check those out. And it talks about this while the USS Alabama, and it has the letters and numbers here, BB-60, BB-60, was under construction. Two men passed away in the shipyard there, Norfolk shipyard. So doesn't say how exactly, but again, I mentioned that earlier because I've heard of that before in different cases where when you're making something this massive but this specialized, there can be accidents, unfortunately. Mentions that after launching in 1942, the ship served for 37 months, so that's over 3 years, without any fatalities due to enemy fire, which is amazing. Of course, there was at some point death under friendly fire, which is where, unfortunately, vessels on the same side end up damaging each other or firing at each other or toward each other, and that has claimed the lives of 8 men. And so let me see here. It has pictures, like I said, definitely check those out. And so let me see here. The next thing this article says is that many people that have visited the USS Alabama have reported hearing and seeing strange things that have led them to ask, is the vessel haunted? For example, several people have heard footsteps running toward them, and then when they turn around, nobody was there. So that's odd. Also, I would think it's one thing if you hear bumps and bangs in a ship like that, I would guess, but I would feel like people would be able to tell footsteps, and especially running toward them. Could be wrong on that, but and it says that over the years, tourists from near and far have also reported seeing apparitions in the cook's galley and the officers' quarters. The steel hatches, and these are solid steel, have also been seen to move on their own. People have seen them move on their own. And apparently, it is thought that the men who passed away on the ship are still there. And so that's what people think is causing the activity there. Many people have wondered about the if the place is haunted because of that, because people had passed there. So let's see here. According to employees, and that's employees of the vessel, it is not. There is no paranormal activity there. None of them have seen or heard anything strange while on duty. So now that's not to say that there can't be anything odd going on, but also you have to think there can be official positions on places and for various reasons, for in terms of the stigma and all those things. So let's see here. Now it does mention that there's only one strange incident that they will admit. Apparently, there was someone that saved or protected a child that got lost while visiting the ship. So apparently, I'm guessing they were found, and they mentioned an angel. But if you think of that just as an apparition or a person, I mean, or a spirit, that fits as well. So maybe the child was sort of led to safety by, or directed to safety by some unknown force or unknown entity. So let me see here. I lost my spot. Okay. So mentions that the boat. Now this is according to this one article. Mentions you can go see it yourself by heading to the Battleship Memorial Park in Mobile. I think it's how you say it, Alabama. But keep in mind, it says unless you're an employee or part of a youth group, you aren't allowed to stay the night aboard the battleship. So, and of course, like I said at the beginning of the show, always keep in mind that is just information from this one article. So, if you ever want to check these places out and the USS Alabama out, definitely look into it on your own before you go. Make sure that you know the rules and visiting hours and all those different things before you go. So, let's see here. So that's the first article I wanted to share. And so the next one here is from hauntedrooms.com. And the title reads The Haunted USS Alabama. So this is, they even have a address for it in the area. And I'll leave that for you all to check out. But apparently it's located in Mobile Bay. That's where it stays, which is the case with a lot of vessels when they're not active anymore. A location is picked for them, obviously, and then they stay there. And it's a military attraction. Says that it is also the home of various entities that have not left yet. So it mentions the 680-foot ship was brought back to U.S. waters in 1965, and it's one of the few original attractions, which is a must-see. So now let's see here. It mentions that the history of the boat. Some of the paranormal events there that have happened include or have been attributed to 2 deaths of men who were in the shipyard during construction of the boat. And it was finished in 1942 and served more than 3 years. Again, this is repeating some of the information. So, talking about the friendly fire again. Now, let me see here. Apparently, there was a safety feature that on one of the weapons, the guns in the boat that failed, and that's what led to the deaths of the other people that passed away there. So the crewmen that died due to the friendly fire still seem to have remained in their stations. It says in this article here, at the turret where they unfortunately passed away. Apparently, late at night, there are popping and tapping noises heard in the bulkheads, and the solid steel hatches move on their own as well. Again, going back to that last article, they mentioned the same thing about the hatches. The popping and snapping, I don't know, I feel like that can be possibly attributed to just the boat in the water and just things settling, possibly. But it says visitors have reported the feeling of being watched, and one person who passed by the sleeping quarters it was a woman that had her earrings snatched by an unseen entity. That's odd. I wonder if it was a case where she felt it or not. You would think you would. I don't know how that works. I don't have earrings. That's quite that had to be frightening. But mentions that the ship is open to the public, and those that would like to find out for themselves if the ship is haunted or not are welcome to do so, says. And so let's see here. So it has a little more about the history of the boat. So I guess we can end with that here. It says that the USS Alabama is a battleship and was the 6th ship of the United States Navy, which was named after the state of Alabama. The article says it was commissioned in 1942 and served in the Atlantic during World War II. Decommissioned in 1947 and assigned to reserve duty, and then eventually, of course, like I said, retired in 1962, and in 1964, the ship was moved to its current location and to become a museum ship. So it was added to the National Historic Landmark Registry in 1986. So it mentions during World War II, the USS Alabama escorted aircraft carriers bombarded one of the islands in the Pacific there and treated wounded sailors. So the ship is now a memorial to the men and women who served and lost their lives during World War II. So it was towed to its permanent location, it says, in 1964. Opened as a museum on January 9th, not too far back from that, from as far as days go from right now, as we're recording this. And let's see here. It says the ship has been recently used as a hurricane shelter in recent years, and so that's really amazing. Even though it did suffer damage during Hurricane Katrina, so it has been used for most of the battleship scenes. The battleship, the USS Alabama, has been used for most of the battleship. Most of the battleship scenes in the movie Under Siege. So apparently, if you watch that movie, you might have seen parts of it. Also used as a stand-in for the USS Iowa in the television show series War and Remembrance. So I don't know if any of you have seen either of those things, but there you go. So that's basically all I had for the articles for today. It's always hard to tell how much I need exactly and how much is enough and what's not enough with these kinds of shows. But so yeah, neat location there. I would like to visit one of these battleships someday and see if what I'm able to pick up on, even though I'm thinking it might be difficult with all the I've seen pictures of different ships and how there's not really, the floors aren't always exactly always even. They're well, not even, but smooth. There's bumps and of course the hatchways and everything. But I'd still like to visit one someday. And also definitely the Queen Mary. I'd love to visit that someday too. Don't know if I ever will, but it's neat to think about that. I'm sure that we'll probably come across other battleships as we move through this series of haunted places in the U.S. In the other states and everything. I'm sure this is just the first one that will be featured, and I hadn't thought about that when starting this series, but it makes sense. Again, like I said, I've heard of other ones as well, and so I'm sure that'll pop up in other episodes further on down the line. This is going to be a long series. Still working on Alabama. So yeah, we need to go to Canada someday as well. PDG mentions hoping might go through Canada after the U.S. But yeah, I would love to visit some. Really, I'd love to just travel in a way. Just there's so many logistics that are kind of difficult to arrange in terms of finances and just all those different things. But anyway, so yeah, this is going to be a long series. This haunted places in the U.S. I mean, we're still on Alabama. Almost done with that state though, based on the source material I've been using and the articles I have saved up and everything. So then we'll be moving on to, I believe, Alaska. And I think I've mentioned this before at the very beginning of this series. I'm focusing on the U.S. just because it's easier overall, and there's no language barriers. I don't know any other or speak any other languages, so that's also a reason why I'm sticking to that. But that's going to do it for this episode, and I will talk to you all on the next episode of Salsidoparanormal. Take care.